I hope you're wrong.
Look, he's right over it. He's right on top of it. Oh, it's a UFO. Look at it. It's a UFO. What are you doing? Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diane, and today, oh, there goes the cat. Today is April 11th, 2015. Here are your news updates for today. Looks like my voice isn't matching what I'm saying. Alrighty then. Let's go to the watchers watching the world. Increased levels of radon in Pennsylvania homes corresponding to onset of fracking. Also yesterday, Tropical Cyclone Solo forms in the Coral Sea, Southwest Pacific Ocean. Also yesterday, Geomagnetic storm reaching G2, moderate levels in process. Let's see if I have anything for you, any news. Officials. Yesterday, such a bizarre thing off California coast. We're seeing multiple aborted fetuses every day. Hundreds of thousands of seabirds that nest in area now missing. Huge unprecedented die-off like we'd never seen. Many baby seals dying after mothers led them to a cliff edge. Brutal to watch. Yeah, it's like they're creating, they're saying that they're being suicidal. Okay. Alrighty then. Like that's the reason. Alrighty. Well, it is now one day down of the weekend. One to go. Be safe, be prepared for anything. I am attaching with Dr. DEAGLE's NUTRIMEDICAL report what they said on Thursday, I believe it was. Alright, take care, be prepared for anything, and I'll see you tomorrow on the flip side. Stay tuned.
Here. I think you hit the target there. Luckily, Chris can get your website, but I'm getting DNS here on the West Coast. Chris, one of the major stories we're talking about with regard to a number of nuclear issues, because we talked about this earlier today about what you sent me yesterday.
Well, Dr. Bill, I guess in Unit 3, they're concerned about is obvious damage to the spent fuel pool gates. I know, here I go again talking about these gates. What are they? They hold the level of water up above, high above the spent fuel. Remember, they're trying to do what they did in Unit 4, that is to remove the spent fuel out of Unit 3. And the interesting thing is, I was looking on the E&E news, and because I've been getting this news from other places too, but E&E was nice enough to post previous articles and a link to a previous, when we were on the air, you and I, talking about the spent fuel gates and the concern that I had and my team would have about if you had a catastrophic failure of these, and it looks like there's damage to this pool, they have to address it. You would lose the level of water that's doing a lot of things like cooling the spent fuel, providing shielding so people won't get overexposed that quickly. I mean, right now it's bad enough, but if you lose the level, and also you could also create a criticality accident. So,
well, we know the top of the spent fuel pool number 3 had a criticality and an explosion that drove parts of fuel rod assemblies up to 60 kilometers away. That happened immediately after the tsunami where they lost their power and they had a hot shutdown. If there's a major loss of the fluid around these fuel rod assemblies and destroy fuel rod assembly parts, there'll be criticalities that will cause, because it's a plutonium enriched cooling pool, it means it's very, very likely to have a nuclear explosion there, which will have a very large nuclear dirty bomb blow up on the Fukushima site, which might completely destroy the entire site and spread all the debris in every direction, including all the workers. And people need to be aware that that's a very high probability that they won't just have the top of the reactor cooling pool blow up, but the entire site blow up to pieces with a tremendous amount of plutonium, tritium, and 200 other isotopes spread not only in the ocean, but through the troposphere with a massive death-kill effect downwind. And I call it the mitochondrial apocalypse. So give us some more details about this, about what's happening there.
Well, I mean, there's just no nice story about it. I mean, they got the spent fuel that's in jeopardy and has been for a while, for a long time. And of course the corium, which is unknown location, whereabouts, obviously not in the reactor anymore, or most of it, and how far outside the container, which is broken. But I mean, just so your listeners know, we brought up this issue in 2012, right? That's in June of 2012. We talked about the spent fuel pool gates, and now it seems that, I'm glad other people are concerned, but I mean, it's a little late in the game here. It's already 2015, and now we're talking about, from NHK News, the pool gates have shifted. And, I mean, it just shows that what we were talking about was pertinent back then and is even more so now.
There's a number of issues that are causing that. The first is the neutron fluxes decaying and annealing the metals and the plastics of the sealant around it. Second is its subsidence, which is twisting the entire building and the cooling pool itself. And the third area is they dropped a big chunk of a piece of device material into the cooling pool, which caused a problem. So they not only shifted the gates over that problem, but they also dropped massive pieces of falling debris into the pool. Mm-hmm. So what I think is going to happen is that when this happens, we already have the death of the Pacific Ocean. I'm going to be bringing on in the next few weeks Dana Durnford. And before I went into medicine in 1973, I was doing my oceanography research on my PhD in marine molecular biology. I didn't write the thesis, but I finished the project in marine bacteriology with Dr. Robert Brown. And we worked at the Bedford Institute and the Woods Hole, Massachusetts Institute in Massachusetts was in collaboration with us in our projects. The oceans are dying. What people need to know, the next is the top of the trees along the Pacific coast will die, and you'll see massive start to have all kinds of what I call zombieizing effects on the human population, where you'll see cardiac arrhythmias, immune system failure, massive increase in breast cancers, because in the animals exposed to high amounts of cesium-137, the most prominent cancer was breast cancer. You're going to start seeing organic brain damage, cardiac arrhythmias, small for dates babies, infertility, and then you're going to start seeing what I call mitochondrial and immune system failure and massive plagues. In other words, the population is so weakened that any plague, virus, or pathogen will spread like wildfires through a grass that's dry as tinder and ready for a tiny spark to cause a massive explosive wall of fire in terms of disease. So what I see is we're approaching a ecological extinction level event, and this will be another nail in the coffin of the Northern Hemisphere.
Well, it certainly, it's like, it's just another black eye. And how much can you take? I don't know, the answer to that.
There's a thing called the elbow of, if you look at a curve in terms of trauma until finally you get failure. In terms of the genetic script, what happens is that tritium, which doesn't have a half-life, is what's called a final kill shot. The two things that are most damaging to DNA are cosmic rays and tritium. And the reason is tritium causes what's called a DNA intercalation, where it slides one codon pair, and cosmic rays just shatter it. All other radioisotopes can fry or cross-link, causing thymidine dimers, where cross-links thymidine in the DNA. And what's likely to happen is you're going to have so much DNA damage that people won't know they're getting in trouble until they get all of a sudden massive pneumonia, sinus infections, bleeding nose, CNS or cerebral bioaccumulation, cerebral radiation, chronic radiation sickness, or gastrointestinal radiation sickness. And that's why I talked to Michael Murphy this morning. I'm involved with a lawsuit, a federal and world lawsuit we're setting up against the geoengineering of the world climate, because they're putting up nanoparticles that are paramagnetic in the upper troposphere. I took care of pilots that are actually flying and putting this stuff up there, so they told me the truth. One of them gave me the whole truth. Within a few weeks afterward, he died in what I call he was foster-sized, which means he killed himself in very unusual circumstances. And this is one of the pilots flying out of Peterson Air Force Base in Buckley, and Aurora Air Force Base is a large Hercules C-130s. He's one of the mechanics taking care of these aircraft. So what people should understand is what's going on now is this is a global genocide, which is why they're not trying to fix Fukushima, and they're telling us lies that there's no technology whatsoever for 200 years to fix the problem. And the bioaccumulation, even in the next 5 to 10 years, they've already offered 2 years ago to the people of Japan that they could move their entire population of 100 and some million to Brazil. That deal was just finished, finalized. So the Japanese now have already bought giant tracts of land in Kerala, India, and they're actually carving out a large section of Brazil to move Japan and Japanese people and their companies and their factories to Brazil. This is actually happening as we speak right now, and no one in the mainstream media is talking about it because they don't want to tell you that America and Hawaii and the Northern Hemisphere is basically the tailpipe of this monstrosity.